Hi, I'm Susan Rutledge here with another tutorial for you on using Adobe Illustrator. Every week I download new tips and tricks and information about the many tools inside of Illustrator. And if you don't want to miss a single episode, then be sure and subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell next to it. If you learned something new today, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And leave me a comment or a question because I'd love to hear from you. And now, if you're ready, let's get to work. In this video, I'll show you how to make a heart shape out of a rectangle. I'll begin with getting the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and I'll drag my rectangle out onto the artboard. I want it to be a specific size, so I'll go to the Properties panel, and under Width, I'm going to type in 6.5 inches, and under Height, I'll type in 3 inches. Then I'll come over to the stroke area and I'm going to give it a black stroke of 1 point. So now I have the rectangle the exact size I wanted, but I'm going to delete that because I want to show you a faster way to create a specific size rectangle. So I'll press the delete key. And with my rectangle tool still selected, I'll click one time on the artboard and it brings up the rectangle dialog box. I'll come over here and I'll type in 6.5 inches for the width, 3 inches for the height, and say OK. You can use either of these methods. I just find this second one to be faster. Now I'm going to get the direct selection tool, keyboard shortcut A, and I'll drag the handles to the center to round the corners. I want to rotate the object, and so I'll use the rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, and I'll hold the shift key down as I drag up until I have a 45-degree angle, and then I'll release my mouse. I'm going to rotate one more time. The rotate tool is still active, but this time I want to make a copy as I rotate. So I'll hold down both the shift and the option keys, and I'll drag to a 90-degree angle, and then I'll release my mouse. I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I'll select both of these objects, and then I'll come over to the left toolbar and I'll get the shape builder tool, and that is Shift M. Now I'll hold down my mouse and I'm going to drag over each of the parts that I want to keep for my heart. And then for the objects that I don't want, I'll hold down my option key and I'll just click on them. And now I have my heart shape. I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I've deselected it so you can see the shape is perfect. Now there are different things that we can do with the heart based upon what our art project is. I'll just show you a few things that you can do. First of all, obviously, we can give it a fill color. Now I'll go up to Effect in the upper toolbar. I'll click on 3D and then Extrude and Bevel. And I'm not going to make any changes to the dialog box. You can pause the video if you want to see the settings. I'll click OK. I wanted you to see that you can place a bevel around any object that you create. I'll undo that using the keyboard shortcut Command Z. I'll go back up to Effect and then I'll come down to Stylize and I'll add a drop shadow, and it's set to normal and the opacity is 50%. You can play with these settings and you can increase the blur, whatever you want. I'll click OK and you can see what that looks like. You might want to remove the stroke. There we go. Now let's remove that effect. Come over here where the FX is, which is your special effect, drop shadow, and just click on the trash can to delete that effect. Come back up to Effect, down to Stylize, and let's do an inner glow this time. And I'm going to make a couple of changes. I'll change the mode to normal, and I'm going to change this color to red. And I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to change the fill to black. And this is looking pretty dark, so let's click on that inner glow effect And let's make some changes. Let's increase the opacity of the red color. And you can see, since I have the preview checked, that you can actually see the change occurring. And this is at 100%. And we can decrease the blur if we want. And we have a really nice dark glow around the outside of the heart. All right, let's remove this effect. And I'll change the fill color to empty. And I'm going to give this heart a 2-point stroke. And I'll change the color to red. And then I'll come up to Object, Path, Offset Path. And I'm going to change this to a -0.08 and say OK. And then this is the line that's the offset that is selected. I'll come over to Stroke and I'll click Dashed Line, and I have a 6-point dash and a 2-point gap, and I think that's going to be just fine. I'll leave it that way. And now I have a nice little stitching around the inside of my heart. One more thing that we can do here, I'll delete that offset path, select the main path and go to the brushes panel, and I have a little pattern brush that has been drawn up, and I can apply my pattern brush, and we have a nice whimsical little heart. If you want to know more about how to make pattern brushes, I have a whole playlist that gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do that. If you found this tutorial helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss a single episode of the tutorials about creating pattern brushes and using all of the various tools in Adobe Illustrator. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.